Hey, so today I just want to show really quickly how to do spherical mapping um, from Blender to Spoke to Mozilla House. So first thing we want to do is just create a sphere, here a UV sphere, and make it quite large because I want to use it as sort of an environment. So I'll just make it 200 meters big. And you see it comes out by default pretty faceted. So to make it smooth, I just right click, shade smooth. And then all I need to do is just add a material here in the materials tab, new. And then as a base color, I just choose an image texture. And so the one thing you need is a 360 image, which you can actually generate yourself with your phone. Pretty much all smartphones now have that as a built-in function. So depending on what phone you have, you basically just take a lot of photos of your environment and it stitches it together into a 360 image. Or so that's if you want something custom that you've made, but you can also download stuff from the internet. So here you have an image that I just found and that I'm mapping onto it. And in order to see it, of course, you want to have the kind of texture map display on. So that's really it. You have now the image map from the interior, and if you have a scene inside of this, you'll basically get a pretty realistic sky, especially if the area that you're navigating in is not too close to the edge, right? Like the closer to the edge you get, the weirder it looks. But if you kind of stay, if your scene is pretty much in the middle, you always want to make sure that this is scaled big enough to really feel like an environment. So 200 meters might not even be big enough for your scene, but it's something you have to adjust based on what you have. I'm also going to just add a plane, just to kind of show you a way to maybe have something. What else should make that 200 meters large? Actually, it looks to be even bigger to kind of go beyond the boundary of the sphere. So I'm just scaling it up. And so if you put it exactly at the middle of the sphere, this is kind of like, can be quite realistic. You can also try to go a little bit lower, or sometimes, you actually would use a spherical plane here and basically not allow people to go all the way to the edge, have some kind of, this looks a lot better, of course, if you have some kind of assets, some trees, something to kind of mask a little bit the sharp edges of the background. But just to kind of understand the basic idea, so I'll leave it simple. So I'm also just adding a material to the surface here, my kind of base surface, and I'll just be using a simple water material, sort of imagining that my scene is sort of inside of a kind of lake or something. And once you have that, like every other geometry, you just export it with GLTF into your folder. So I'll just call this 360 imagery. And then you can go into your Spoke browser. I'll just start a new project for that, new empty project. And delete the mountain, the terrain, because I don't need it for this. We're creating kind of our own spherical environment here. And here it is. Drop it in. Because it's really just, 2 image maps and very little geometry, it should go fairly fast. And so it does the thing where it scales it down to 0.1 because, this is kind of a large object. So you can also here adjust it to be actually in the same coordinates that you had in your Blender file. And you see how the image is mapped correctly on here. So this is probably a pretty easy one, actually just lift it so it's above the grid. Yeah. So this will just publish kind of like as you expect it would. The other thing, what you can also do, you can actually have a 360 video, and that's even easier actually, because you can just go to YouTube and find a video. So let's say a 360 video. And just copy paste that link. So here, let's take this one. And so all you need to do is go into just your general elements, dynamically put one of the dynamic video posts here, and just copy paste the YouTube link. And so by default, this is going to create a flat image. But then here in projection, you can actually say 360. And we can also change the scale of it. So here, let's make it big. So we're going to have these two spheres, so we can kind of compare the different effects. We'll just do 0, 0, 0, and then move it out. So it's exit. Oh yeah, actually, let's make it the same size, right? The other one was 200, so let's make this one also 200. Okay. So now they're roughly the same size. Okay, I lifted the other one a little bit. But yeah, you get the idea between the two. So it's kind of showing like a weird, still frame from the beginning. I'm not sure that's something that you can control, but all right, I just call this 60 and publish it out. Extend art, save and publish. And now, as you know, it's exploring the scene. Should actually go pretty quickly, but maybe if the video is slow, it might take a second. All right, it's finished uploading. Just clicking view your scene, create a room. And here it's loading my scene. And I didn't really specify the location of where I'm landing, so I kind of landed in the middle of the one environment, the 360 sphere, and then we fly out of it so that I can also see the animation. Big world. At the edge, I'm going to be there in a second, and you can see the animated sphere as well. And it really depends on what you need it for. Static images are often quite good enough, but for certain uses, you might want to have a spherical environment. All right, here we go. So here we have our sphere. There's something actually kind of off with it. Maybe it's just because I'm too close to it. All right, full disclosure, I actually just paused the video and re-uploaded with a slightly smaller, basically just the exact same geometry, just instead of 200 meters, I made them only 20 meters big because they were too hard to navigate. And so here you see the 360 video now, from within the sphere with like a radius of 20. And yeah, it's basically kind of like a VR within a VR. It's a pretty cool method, in a way, cheap method for you to create your navigatable 3D 60 environments within Mozilla Hubs. And now I'm floating out of it again, and I can sort of see the two spheres from outside. So this is the one with the video, and this is the one that has really just an image map onto it. And when I go inside of this one, I have my plane with the water, and it's like kind of parallel gravity mode. I can kind of walk around and see the horizon. So here you would want something much bigger, but again, just for purposes of navigation, I made the spheres a little bit smaller so you can actually quickly go in and out, which if this becomes your world boundary, you would really need to be doing. Hope that was helpful, and see you in the next tutorial.